Hey, what's up?
Hi, Diamond. How are you?
I am good.
Me too. I'm so glad to be back. Look at us, 2 months in a row. We're
Period.
we're going. Yeah, we're back on the horse. How's your month been since I saw you last?
Oh, it has been wonderful. I am really closing out my summer with a bang. I was able to spend time with some of my friends and hang out, and it's just been I'm going to see T.S. Madison tonight
Oh,
for
fun.
Fag Talk, which is going to be dope.
In Houston? You're in Houston?
Houston.
Okay.
This week also is the 40th anniversary of Miss Gay US of A. So this is the week that they celebrate their 40th Miss Texas US of A. And
Wow.
I'm gonna go to that this weekend. And so it's a queer ass fucking weekend. So I'm excited about it.
That sounds so nice. I'm jealous. I mean, up here everything is kind of queer as long as you're white, like we talked about last
Period.
time. So I'm always in that, but yeah, that sounds so fun. We just went last night. My husband's band had a show, and so we went to the show. They were so good. Um, I feel like a little piece of ownership. I've told him that I'm now their creative director, whether he agrees with it or not. So I'm like working on all their merch and all their marketing stuff. It's so fun. I've been having a blast, but that I've been kind of like hunkered down doing a lot of creative work recently, which has been really
Oh.
fulfilling.
Oh, I love that. Have you had any fashion things that's been making you feel powerful or making you feel fly and dope?
As like simple as it seems, the designing like band shirts and merch, that to me feels so, like I said, like reinvigorating. It's nothing like, I'm not designing gowns and shit like I used to do in college, but in many ways, like this stuff that I'm working on now is more like people are actually going to wear this. You know what I mean? It's not like so conceptual. I'll get to see my friends wear this stuff. So that's super cool and super fun. Um, I have gotten into some new TV recently, which we're going to delve deeper into later. I have finally caught the Gilded Age bug after I think I'm like 3.5 years too late. Um, Definitely want to get into that with you because I know you're a Gilded Age girly.
Yes.
And what else? No, we were chatting a little bit before. I Nothing has gagged me this week or the last 2 weeks fashion wise that I can remember. Is there anything jumping out to you that you just like can't stop thinking about?
Oh, not anything that I've been seeing. I had a purchase that I really really love. I
Okay.
bought these black puff sandals.
Hmm.
they are they are from a brand called Bless. Have you heard of them?
I haven't.
There's a brand called Bless, and I'm looking for y'all know there's a certain level of me that's very Mason Margiela that I love. That is a simplicity that sometimes that brand can have, and so I look for things that kind of give me that simplicity, and these kind of give me that simplicity. Let me show you. Let me share my screen with you so you can see. I just got
Excited.
them. First of all, I love Essence, um,
Yes.
the brand, the consignment.
My cart is
Mhm.
always full.
Always.
Usually just sitting there waiting for me to come back to it.
This is
Oh,
I just love these. I can walk around. They're very just simple, and they're so puffy and soft and black leather,
I
and
love those.
I can have a simple think about like a linen dress that I'm walking around shopping in. They're just so comfortable. They're meant
Yeah.
to just be relaxed, and they're just so comfortable. I love them. They look puffy. They look like those. It's really soft leather and puffy. So
Yeah.
I just bought them, and I just love them. They're just my one of my favorite things.
I
That
love that like soft, supple leather like
Yes,
that.
it's so
Oh, it's
soft
so
and so
nice.
supple. So that has been making me feel good. I wore them around. I've been wearing them ever since I got them, and people have been giving me so many compliments about them. And yeah, they've been making me feel like, oh, I got some unique little shoes because everybody asks, say, oh, I've
Right.
never seen no shoes like that, or those are so unique. And so yeah, that's the vibe I want to give.
I love that. It just came to you on a platter.
Yeah, I loved it.
I'm trying to think. Do I have anything I'm eyeing right now? Anthony just bought me. I forgot he's not going by Anthony anymore. Ray just recently got me my first Telfie bag, so I'm loving that. Again, I think I'm like 3 years late to the trend with that as well, but um, I bought I love a Lafufu fake. I love the Canal Street. You have to jump in the back of a van and like someone shows you all the fake stuff really quick. That's my
Mhm.
vibe. So I bought a fake little knockoff Marc Jacobs bag back there, which Marc Jacobs, those bags aren't even that expensive to begin with, but I'm hell on bags, especially light ones. So I was like, let me just feel this little Lafufu fantasy for a while before I jump in and start making real purchases.
I love that. This is another thing that made me feel good this week because it came with some it's just super super quality. I bought these two. These have been my purchases I've been wanting and they went on sale.
Ooh, that
These
is
are
so
high-waisted, fully sequenced, fully
oh
lined,
my
high-waisted
god.
pants. They are so fucking fire. I got
I'm
the
obsessed with that color. Oh
and
my
the
god.
because this color with a red lip and some black
Mm,
hair, some big Tracy Ellis Ross, some black hair.
yeah.
I just want to do it, so I end up getting these because when they first came out, they were too expensive for me to buy, but they had a sale and sent me a coupon, so they were affordable at that point.
Is
So
this a brand or is this a shop? I've never heard of them before.
it's a brand.
Okay.
So they always have high quality stuff. They also have a jacket to it, but I thought it's not bad. I just was like I didn't want
No,
to
yeah.
go overboard. But I'm starting to get more into sequence outside of New Year's.
Hmm. I totally get that.
So I'm like, how can I make sequence? I am recently they got canceled, but just like us, just what is and just like that. Um, I am a Carrie Bradshaw fan. I don't like Carrie as far as her character as a
Right.
person, but
We aspire to the fashions.
we aspire to the motherfucking fashion, baby, because that bitch be fucking sickening when it comes to her fashion and what I like.
Yes.
What I like. I love Mother Carey. Her and Miranda are my fashion icons when it comes to out of from that show. Because I love red hair. Clearly,
Hmm.
they always have Miranda in some kind of fire ass
Very like
colors.
tailored, like structured, like bright colors.
Not Audrey,
Yes.
Catherine Hepburn,
Yeah. Oh,
high waisted pants with a blouse or something. And the colorway is usually perfect for my particular skin
right.
tone because she has red hair. It just makes it dope. But Carrie has that whimsy that I like, and she has that kind of they do textures on her so well. She'll like I remember one of the episodes recently, she was in this fucking this dress that just was like a fucking dope ass dress, but then she put on a dad sweater with it. And it
Hmm.
just the textures that she mixes together, she'll have some sequence, but she'll have this where it's high fashion, and that one piece can easily be dressed up, but because she put it with such dress down things, maybe a t-shirt, maybe da 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 da, it just looks so fucking fly, and that's shit that I
Yeah.
like to do. And so that's why I got those pants because I was like, ooh, I can't wait to be able to rock them with a t-shirt, with a something that's really toned down, and just be rocking it and still be fly.
Yeah. Now that Carrie's gone, someone's got to step up and fill her shoes
It must
for
be
all of
me. It
us.
got to
Yeah.
be me.
I will not miss, and just like that, it was one of those shows where I just hate watched it like every week, but I will miss the character Carrie Bradshaw so much. I'm sure I've talked about this on here before, but that show and Carrie particular like are what kind of got me into fashion as a kid. Um, and I think particularly for people our age, like there are other shows that do fashion like that now, but for people our age, getting to see them mix like these high fashion pieces with her just like walking down the street and they're having lunch at Au Bon Temps and like Miranda's crying about some dude that wanted him to eat her ass, and you know what I mean? It's like I miss that type of stuff, and I will miss that moving forward. Um, so yeah, rest in peace, Carrie Bradshaw. But and just like that, I'm glad to see glad to see you go.
I'm the total opposite. I loved it.
No, oh my
I
god.
loved it. I love to see them as older women. There is just there's certain things when they were younger that I totally expected because you're younger. You're gonna be in the talking about the guy who actually ate his ass. But by the time you get in your 50s, girl, you done got a lot of nigga. You done ate a lot of ass. So you know
You
what I'm
know
saying?
the protocol now.
It's certain things that I wasn't expecting from them in their older years. What they did actually, I think, I thought was really really needed. Was there some bumbles? But there were some bumbles back in the day.
Oh
There was
yeah,
you can say there was some weird ass bumbles back in the day. So
for sure.
I come to understand that this franchise is gonna have some weird bumbles that makes us talk, that makes us think about it. I also actually, if I'm to be totally honest, I love that Carrie ended up alone because there is a there is a need for people to understand that your options can be I love myself enough to where I'm not centering a man. And
And the
Carrie,
story of the show has always been that, and my friends are my soulmates,
my
which I think
friends are
is
my soulmate.
so beautiful.
Yeah. And she was chasing Big and chasing Aiden and chasing these kind of dudes and making them the center of her life. One of my favorite episodes is when he stood her up at the altar and and her friends was like, no, fuck. You
Yeah,
remember when one of the
Charlotte.
Charlotte saying no. Like
Yep.
that was like a powerful emotional moment for me. And I just remember it. And so I think a message that need to be told now is that you got to understand and accept that if it's okay to love and be romantic and find love and want to be partner. It's okay to want that. Nobody is demonizing that want. Go after it. But know that if you don't find that, it is okay to
Right.
love your tribe, your people, yourself enough to be happy if it doesn't work out. And yeah, I just thought that it was beautiful. I thought it was dope. And you got Charlotte who has her man, that long-term relationship in the family. You got finally Miranda is gay. She should have been gay. She
Finally,
should have
yeah.
been gay in the old show. But we knew her ass was a dyke. Get out of here. That's the only
But
thing that
it's
was
stuff
fucking
like that
awkward.
though, where I'm like, I totally agree with you. The concept of it, of these women that we love coming back in their, I don't want to say middle age, but in
Middle
in their
age.
50s and 60s, and it would have been lovely to see, I don't know, just a normal, natural progression of what's happening in their lives now. To me, it didn't necessarily feel that way. I also, though, am like a purist, and I think once they found out they weren't going to be able to do it with Samantha, they should not have done it. That's just how I feel. I love the new women that they added, although I think they underutilized them a lot of times. Um, the one lady, I don't even remember her name in the show, but not this season, but last season, she was a professor. She had the on and off musician husband. She just disappeared, right? She's not even in
Yeah,
it.
because in real life she had a conflict with her other jobs.
Okay.
In real life. She talked about it. She was like, I love that show. She was like, but the other show just was a conflict and I couldn't get out of it. And so they cut her off.
Yeah, I thought she was great. It's just stuff like that where I'm like, if we weren't gonna have Samantha, I wish they would have fleshed out the other characters a little bit more, especially when those other characters are women of color, and that's kind of what they're trying to do. Is no, we're not just a story about four white women in New York City. If you're gonna go there, like really go there. And I hated Che. Che ruined the whole show for me. I hated Che. So
What else? I love Lisa. Lisa was dope. Her fashion was dope. She
love Lisa.
she
Her
gave that.
jewelry stressed me out most of the time, but I loved her fashion. Yeah.
Yes. I'm a gaudy ass bitch, so her jewelry sometimes got my life. So,
I thought Seema was like a bird. I don't know. I mean, I guess women in their 60s can be birds, but I don't know. I mean,
there was sometimes Seema gave me my life, but not always.
beautiful, beautiful though, gorgeous.
But she was always kind of, you know, she was intentionally the muted one too. She wasn't. We had enough of the colorful. Although
Yeah,
we needed a regular. I don't want to say plain Jane, but still fabulous, but a more muted girl. And I think
yeah.
Seema fitted that better well. Um,
Well, they might have another go at it. I heard that I read on Twitter that SJP like really does not want to let go of Carrie, so she and Michael Patrick King are shopping other networks and like streaming services to do some other kind of show because they really want to bring her back. But
mm.
I don't know. We'll see.
And then even with Samantha, I don't. I like what made Samantha work as a character is that she was the maverick. She was the sexually liberated woman. She was the it was almost a they try to make it seem like almost opposite of Charlotte, almost opposite
Mm,
of like a Carrie, but men centered her life too, but just in a different kind of way. She was like, I'm using them as a tool, as my fun, as my freak, and but they're still centered. Her sexual prowess, that men was still centered at that. But she also was the older of them,
yeah,
and so if we brought her back during this era, it would feel awkward for her to give that kind of energy deal.
totally. I do think her character would have to be changed so much um, for her to come back and for it to make sense.
Yeah,
But I guess it could have been like a Blanche Devereaux in a Golden Girls type thing.
yeah, it could have
There's
been.
always that.
It always that. Anyway, yeah, I think that for me has been my highlights of since we've talked the highlights, the Gilded Age, which we'll talk about later,
Hmm.
and just like that have been the highlights of my fashion and my personal bias have been the highlights of my fashion.
Love it. Yeah, like I said, I'm living vicariously through TV right now. So Gilded Age. I also started watching all the Danny McBride shows. So Righteous Gemstones. It is so funny. One of the funniest shows I've ever seen. Vice Principals, which is none of these are really fashion. Although Righteous Gemstones is about a televangelist Christian family who like they run a super church and so they have a ton of money and they wear like a lot of like it's based in South Carolina and they do a lot of other business with like Texas families. So it's a lot of like big Texas Southern gaudy Christian jewelry. In that sense, it was pretty fun. But yeah, it sounds like we need some more fashion coming up. I need to feel it in my veins a little bit more than just through the TV, through HBO.
Okay, y'all, it is time for our Trinket. As just a reminder, a Trinket is a deep dive into a detail of fashion and culture that might seem small at first glance, but says something bigger when you look at it a little closer. It might be a garment, a phrase, a moment, or even a person, but it always threads back to the culture that clothes us.
In this episode, we're talking a little bit about fashion through the changing of society and how people, particularly women, are affected by that, um, and how those fashion trends move and kind of what that does to our lives. One way that Diamond and I both were like, oh, a cool trinket for that would be the gold cross necklace. Everyone, well, not everyone, I don't wear them, but a lot of people wear them. They're a huge fashion and religious symbol, obviously. So something small but powerful. You have seen them layered in like a million stack necklaces, which is something like Rihanna does, or tucked under a preppy sweater. It can sometimes look super simple or super gaudy, but as we are talking about, it does carry a cultural meaning nearly for about 2,000 years now, since the time of Christ, obviously. Think of it as history just disguised as jewelry. Diamond, was there a time in your life that you can remember gold cross necklaces specifically being like a trend, something that people were having to get, it was trending, it was all over the place. Like for me, I wasn't alive. I'm so young, but I'm thinking a little bit about like when Madonna took a lot of cross imagery in the 80s and early 90s. Um, I think that really birthed a movement of that type of iconography.
Yeah, iconography.
That's
I do remember when I was growing up in the 90s, there was this kind of Catholicism play in
mm,
fashion that was happening where, the goth girls was wearing rosaries. There was this kind of the cross for middle America. I'm grew up in the Midwest, middle America regular degular girl, that was so common. It was
right.
common as hoops for a bandy girl. She would be having a cross and having hoops. You know what I'm saying? But
Right.
also you'll see her, the hood girl with the hoops, have that cross too. But you'll also go down the road to the real rural Midwestern Allison, and she'll have a little cross on
Hi,
her little
Allison.
thing. You know what I'm saying? She'll have a
Yeah.
little cross too. So crosses, because religion is so across the board for in different contexts, crosses has always been somewhere in the picture, either as a simple declaration of their religious devotion
Mhm.
or a play in the alternative of, hey, we're just having this, yeah, we're doing the black, the golf, the it's not,
Exactly.
you know what I'm saying? It was kind of like you it kind of run the gamut of from being simple to being more alternative.
Looking through the history of it, that tends to kind of be the story of the cross necklace since its birth. So I, same as you, I never really, it's just ubiquitous because I'm from the South and everyone is Christian and religious. So I think I even had one as a kid growing up. Again, I've never believed in God, but I had stuff like that when I was a kid and everyone around me had it. But because it is so everywhere, I never really thought about how it started or where it kind of came from. So I did a little bit of digging. Of course, one of the first signs of the gold cross necklace was in ancient Rome after Christ was crucified. Early Christians would wear tiny crosses, not for fashion, obviously, but as a way to notice each other in a crowd. You're safe. We're all Christians. We're all in this together. It was kind of like a secret handshake, a way to signal belonging without risking punishment from the Romans. Then we jump to like the Middle Ages and the Renaissance, where crosses got super fancy. This is where they started adorning them a lot more. So they really started becoming more of a fashion statement as opposed to just religious. Nobility and clergy would often wear them to essentially flex not only their proximity to heaven or God, but also to wealth, because the more or what is the word I'm looking for? The more ornate it was, the more over the top it was, the more money it cost. And then the 18th and 19th century, that crosses became a little more sentimental. So people would start engraving them for people, and they would give them as gifts for confirmations or baptisms. Still in that religious world, but a little bit more sentimentality attached to it. And the Victorians specifically really, really loved branding themselves through accessories. One of those accessories being the cross. In 20th century pop culture, finally getting a little bit into our times, some of the icons of American culture that have worn crosses prominently. Grace Kelly and Audrey Hepburn wore delicate crosses to signal elegance and modesty. And then, like we talked about later, Madonna flipped the script, along with people like Tupac, who also wore a lot of crosses and turned it into a symbol of rebellion. Depending on who wore it or the instance in which they were wearing it, it meant a completely different thing to different people, which is so cool. And then, as we're going to be talking about today, fashion is cyclical, trends are cyclical, and the cross is back today in Gen Z. A person in particular we've seen really, really rocking the cross chain necklace hard has been Kylie Jenner. As we know, the Gen Z girlies love her. Rihanna has been using it a lot, like I said, and influencers have been pairing it with what they're calling this quiet luxury trend, because it does tend to like whisper tradition in a world that feels a little messy as we're starting to move into these scarier future years.
Right, because a lot of the trad wives, they are rocking these little crosses and
Oh
crosses.
yes,
Yeah.
and it borders on. It's like, is this cosplay or are you protecting yourself for what's to come? All those questions come up. So, kind of like we were just talking about, these crosses are a fashion statement, but they're also kind of a political statement, really, when you think about it. Do you think that people, when they get dressed in the morning, the bulk of American citizens putting on a cross necklace, do you think that they're recognizing those implications when they get dressed every morning, or do you think it's just, let me put this on and get out the door? This is part of my vibe.
I think that it is their it is I think it is their signaling, their virtue signaling.
Mm,
I think that they are sometimes it's in your face and sometimes it's subtle and sometimes it's like boom, like this
right,
is this is what I'm about. I'm signaling to you that this part of me is conservative, that I am connected to Christ, I am connected to religion, I am connected to this particular lifestyle. And even if they're not living it, that little bit of, you know what I'm saying? I come from a family that some of them don't go to church or Sunday. Some of them don't live Christ like at all.
hmm,
But they're culturally Christian. And so symbolize putting that symbol on their chest, putting that symbol on some earrings, putting that symbol on the ring, it signals to everybody else that yeah, I might not live right, but I still believe in the Lord. I still
right.
believe in Jesus. I still believe in Christ. I still believe in blah 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 blah. And I think it's deeper for some people. And then some people is just I just need to signal to you that I ain't totally lost.
Right.
So
And
yeah.
also, I think in terms of like a more political vibe, it's not the same as necessarily like putting a bumper sticker on your car that says like MAGA. Or, not to say that people who wear crosses are automatically MAGA, but you know the leap I'm making. Um, it's not that same thing, but it is still like, in some ways, it's kind of like when I see someone with like a trans pride pin or like a LGBT flag, I'm like, oh, this is a safe space. We see each other. I'm
Yeah.
assuming that is kind of the same thing for people like that. That's just their signal.
And also there's another element of irony. There's
Mm,
another element of um that a lot of people play with, especially like porn. You'll see these videos where the girl's boobs is just sitting up jacked, cleavage showing, and then there's a cross sitting
right in the
right in the
middle.
middle of it. Um also, and that's more like sexuality, but also you see like recently in the fashion realm recently the men's Dolce and Gabbana men's. Have you ever seen that? Have you seen that recently? If you watch that, that is that to me, as gay, those boys was looking gay as hell.
They count.
And so when I think of the new men's Dolce and Gabbana runway, it's a unique blend of the Catholic religion iconography, which is crosses, and high fashion. Just the idea when I think of Jesus and I think of religion, people who are in it the right way, I don't think of money and luxury.
Right.
I think of humility and being humble. And so to have these luxuriously encrusted gowns and capes that look like the Pope would wear them, and these encrusted jewels on all of the accessories, and just these kind of garments that inspired these like priestly vestments, and
Right.
it looks so luxe. That is irony. That is like a contradiction on some level. Do you see what I'm saying? It's like
I
playing
do.
for me. It plays a little bit different, and I think that and then even the fact that they look like these beautiful, handsome model men, and there's a sexuality to them, and we know the history of homosexuality in the Catholic Church. They even have Cher's much younger boy toy in the show as a model, so it's clear. It just feels like sometimes it is put on as a kind of contradiction or a just a irony that's happening just in the moment with you being um this kind of luxurious thing and the fucking cross and Christ and religion. I
Right.
think that sometimes it does that. And that's one example of recent years. We saw a couple of Met Galas ago. The theme was heavenly bodies, and we see when Rihanna wore out that fucking Pope encrusted silver. And that's kind of the Met is seen as, that's another example of culture, how it's seen as this luxurious thing. And the irony is that it's excessive and luxurious, and it just doesn't go well with that religious aspect to me.
It's funny that you say that. This week, I saw, I didn't know this, the tailor and designer who designs all of the Pope's outfits and makes all of them is a gay man. And I saw it on, I want to talk about him eventually, so y'all can all correct me, but I can't remember his name right now. I have it saved on my phone. But yes, he is making all those fierce fab outfits for that man. And this is obviously a bit more layered version, but same thing of like, you're dressing these people to go preach this religion that currently is not preaching for you, and you're still beautifying them, like helping them be exalted. It's just such an interesting way how religion gets so. Look at us saying something new. Religion is weird. A never before said thought.
It's this continuation of the long tradition of using queer people for their talents. When I think of that's the Pope. You get what I'm saying? That's the Catholic Church. That's the Vatican. It goes all the way down to, I grew up in the Kojic Church. The minister of music, who was the great singers, who was the great talents in music,
Yes.
was a lot of gay men. It was a lot of gay men who were in that arena. And then when we think about Big Mama Thornton and these queer women who set the stage for, you know, Elvis, and they started in church and was kicked out of the church, but so many of their musical stylings and their genre bending ways, while rooted in the church, people were stealing and using, but weren't giving them the opportunity. And so it just goes along with this long tradition in religion, but also in the larger culture, where we are being used for our talents while simultaneously they are demonizing us.
And that's one of the things, to me, this was what makes the gold cross necklace such a good trinket, is because even if you look at someone wearing it and you just think, oh, they're wearing a cross, they're probably religious. We just talked about this for like 15 minutes. Like, there's so much long layered history about this one little thing that goes into religion, societal topics, queer topic, like everything. And you're wearing all of that every time you wear it, even if you don't necessarily think you are. So that's what I loved about the gold cross necklace. I think, like I said, as you and I are kind of talking about some changes through history on this episode, and how people are affected by that, and what power does to them. I think this was a great way to kind of start that. So, and I bet some of the people that we're going to be talking about today, I know they have a gold cross on their neck while they're doing all this bad stuff. So,
Period.
Can't wait for you to teach me more.
So, Chance, it's been months since the election results.
Oh God, why are we going back there? I'm trying to forget it. Go ahead.
But these results have been each and every time there is a demographic of women who have, we love to say they're voting against their interests. Even though I'm like, I don't know if they're voting against their interests, or they're just voting to be complacent and to be on the side of the devil. And because they benefit from being on the side of the devil, that actually is within their interest.
Yep. Okay.
Even though they don't acknowledge the harm that actually comes until it gets to the extreme. And then they're like, oh, Lord, I didn't know it was going to be like this. And they act like they didn't know.
Every time.
And so, for me, I wanted to highlight on this particular show. I'm the history buff person on here, so I wanted to talk about use this show to talk about some of those examples of women um, who use this moment to teach people about some women who learned that lesson the hard way. These women, while deeply loyal to these conservative men, I wanted to examine how they suffered personal tragedies due to their devotion. When we explore their stories, we explore like I want you to think about the broader implications of patriarchy. I want you to think about loyalty and why you are loyal, and does it actually benefit you or the people outside of you, people who are not in positions of privilege. And then the erasure of your agency as a woman, your erasure as a person, even if you're not particularly a woman, if you are somebody that is aligning yourself with oppressors. I want you to think about that in the context as I talk about some of these women.
Okay. I'm excited. It sounds like we're getting into an ID episode of investigations. I can't wait.
All right. So the first person that I want to talk about is Madge Oberholtzer. Madge Oberholtzer was now I'm going to say Madge O because I ain't going to keep slaughtering that name.
I'm right there with you. I'm not holding it against you.
Madge O was an American woman who was brutally, trigger warning, and give you a chance to cut off if you don't want to hear about people being harmed. Sorry.
Skip.
Skip. Um, Madge O was an American woman who was brutally raped and murdered in 1920 by D.C. Stevenson, a powerful leader of the Ku Klux Klan in Indiana. And her murder actually played a significant role in the decline of the Ku Klux Klan in its second rise. Now, I say second rise because this was not the first time the Ku Klux Klan rose up. This was the second time, and it's not the last. We are currently in the third rise.
You don't say. You don't say.
Since we just talked about our trinket as the Christ thing, this conservatism is leading to these people kind of coming up out of the woodworks, and so
brave.
That's gonna getting brave, and yeah. So we are currently in a third rise, but this was a second rise, and unfortunately, we're going to talk about your home state later on. But
Okay.
this,
they always make me proud.
Alabama. But we gotta go to my home state, who also makes me proud, Indiana.
Okay. Show me a good time while we're there. Let's go. Come on.
The first rise was in the South. When it comes to Ku Klux Klan, they rose and they start terrorizing and lynching people, and it was, they had a whole movie about it. The first film ever was made about the Ku Klux Klan, and yeah, that we know the first rise was a little bit more Southern. But what you may not know, the second rise in the early 1900s was in Indiana. There was a core group of people that started in Evanston. Is it Evanston or Evansville? I can't remember exactly. In Evansville, I think it's, I don't know. I can't remember. Anyway, this small bottom corner of Indiana, and they grew and grew and grew to where their numbers were super high, super high when it comes. And I remember growing up in Indianapolis where this incident happened. And they used to tell us, don't take your black ass down to no Greenwood. That's where the Klan is. And this is one of those areas in the state where, there was a stronghold of racist white men and their partners. And yeah, that's where it was.
Even when you were growing up, there were parts of town that you were like, I'm not going to.
That they told us, they warned us not to go to. Okay. Yeah, and this was in the 80s, 90s. And so I want to talk about her experience, and I want to be very clear. This is not blaming her at all for what happened to her. What I'm telling, why I'm using her first is that she's an example of her literally just trying to come and mingle and befriend these people to get access to resources and to get access to her programming. And this ended up happening to her. So I'm calling out the proximity of these harmful people and how it can lead you to your harm. I'm not blaming her at all. Okay, so I want to make sure that was very clear. She was abducted and assaulted in March of 1925. Stevenson, the Grand Dragon of the Indiana clan, abducted her. She was a state employee working as an adult literacy teacher, like she was on a campaign. Basically, she wanted to teach adults how to read, and she wanted to do the work in regards to that. So she was trying to raise funds for this program that she was a part of, this campaign that she was on. And I want to be very clear that her family comes from Germany. So she was American, but her family was immigrants coming here, and I can't imagine that she didn't have any connections to the Nazi regime. Could be. It's not confirmed, but I'm like, your dad was German, and you coming in and supporting the Republicans, the conservatives at this time in Indiana. I just can't imagine that you were in cahoots with that shit. But anyway,
math is starting to math a little bit.
The math is starting to math. So when the governor of Indiana had just won his political campaign to be governor of Indiana, they had a ball to celebrate his win. And so she supported him. So she came to the ball to participate in the celebration, but also her goal was to help her adult literacy campaign. Okay. So he kidnapped her and held her captive in his private train car and subject her to crazy, vicious sexual assault and torture. This is after she was denying his advances. Prior to that, he was trying to seduce her to date her, but he tricked her into coming to his hotel room. Remember, he met her at the ball, so he like, ooh, let me try to get you to come back. And she like, yo, I'm flattered, but I'm a lady. You gotta treat me with respect. You gotta, you gotta come at me in a respectful way. So look, these are my type of men. These Republican conservatives who want the niggas to be slaves. That's my favorite. But I still need you. I'm still a lady. You still got to respect me.
But I'm down for it, but I need dinner first. Come on.
Right. But he like, I am a powerful Klansman who got the police in my pocket, who got the governor in my pocket. Bitch, what I say goes. And when I want some of your stuff, we fucking or I'm fucking. What we do.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which is sad, but that's literally what happened. So he invites her to talk about her campaign as a ruse, but tricks her into very Harvey Weinstein, tricks her into coming with him, and he ended up putting her on this train, using his men and his power, because he had like some security people, using his men and his power to get her on the train and taking her to a hotel and raping and assaulting her. He was and torturing her, and it got so bad.
And she was young, right? Like she was.
Yes, she was 28 when she died.
Okay.
So it got so bad while she was held captive in a hotel in Hammond, Indiana. She was traumatized. And so during that time, she attempted to commit suicide by taking mercury tablets. When she started to get sick and get like, oh my God, like she looked like, remember these tablets, it ain't like instant like a gun or something. Right. So she when she started to get sick, he's thinking like, damn, we thought we was gonna clean this bitch up and take her back to her house. But she getting weird. Like, what's going on with her? Like, she's tripping. And so him and his accomplices took her back to Indianapolis, but he refused to get her proper medical care. So when he took her home, one of her people found her and was like, "Yo, what's going on?" and called the police. And the police, she actually was able to give the police a statement about what happened to her right before she died of this mercury poisoning.
Wow.
And so the combination of the staph infection from her injuries, because she was with him for a while and got an infection from the torture that was happening to her, but also the kidney failure from the mercury poisoning that she took. And so all of them things combined, she ended up dying. And so, but she was able to get to the police and tell them what happened to her before she actually died. And so he thought he had the people in his hand, but apparently the police officers in the police department in Indianapolis was like, "Fuck that shit. You went too far, harming this white woman, child." And so the trial and aftermath was once she gave her statement to the attorney, they used it in charging him, even though he had tons of political influence. They used her statement and her just the evidence on her body, and everybody who was with the witnesses that they found, they used it against him and charged him with second degree murder, and he was actually convicted.
Wow.
Once he gets convicted and he realized, oh, these motherfuckers is not protecting me. Oh, so y'all let me go down for this bitch.
Oh, he starts singing?
He started telling all the tea about the corrupt politicians, and they all started to get prosecuted for their crimes that he had the evidence for.
Oh, shit.
And so this led to the downfall of all the powerful Ku Klux Klan leaders in Indiana and beyond. And so because of he doing this to this woman, he actually got convicted and was able and started to snitch. And so it led to all of them getting taken down. And so the Ku Klux Klan dwindled down in its second iteration.
Wow. I had no clue. That's so interesting. Did he do jail time? Like, was he in jail?
Yes, they locked him up. The case remains like a landmark in legal history for its implication when it comes to the cause. Because remember, he didn't actually give her the mercury.
Right.
So
She
technically killed herself, but because of he's the reason why she was doing all of this shit, had the staph infection, and was taking this stuff because she was being harmed and tortured, he got seen as the cause. And so this was one of the first time that it was like somebody, you caused this death because of your actions, despite what they did. And so it was a landmark case. So that is the case of Madge Oberholtzer.
Okay, Madge. Rest in peace.
Yeah, so this was in the early 20s. And so we're going to go a little bit further up and talk about somebody that happened maybe 10 years later. Well, still in the 20s, but when the bad stuff happened to her, it was about 15 years later. So we're going to talk about Eva Braun, the invisible wife of Hitler.
Miss Hitler
herself. Now, of course, we know Adolf Hitler. He is the iconic dictator, Nazi leading leader of Nazi Germany. So we know him. But most people don't know about his wife, his partner, right?
Literally, I think the only thing I know about her, they committed suicide together, or he killed her and then he killed himself, or something like that. And was she an actress?
No.
Okay, so yeah, that's all I know.
So let me tell you what happened with Eva. So Eva met Hitler when she was 17 years old and he was in his 40s.
Oh, God. Mm-hmm. Sounds right. Sounds right.
He was already old and she was 17. She was a young teenage girl who was working at a photography studio in Munich. And the man that was there introduced her to him, another older man, the owner of the shop. And she became his longtime girlfriend. So publicly, he didn't have any wife. He would say, I'm married to Germany. I'm married to, you know what I'm saying? He was very much like Elizabeth the First, where I'm married to England. I don't need a husband. He was the same way. I'm married to my politics. I'm married to my country. I'm married to this mission, and I don't need a wife. So that's what it is. But he actually had her on the side this whole time, his 17-year-old fling. Now, her family was kind of against it in the beginning because it was like, girl, you is young. Why are you chasing after this old ass man? And what he gonna do for you? You know what I'm saying? Like, this is a time when, honey, your husband's supposed to take care of their wives. This is old school. Traditional. This early, girl. You supposed to get a husband and he take care of you and blah blah. Yeah. She was more of the rambunctious, firebrand woman who was athletic. She had a beautiful body because she was an athlete. She was a swimmer. She was into athlete. She was into gymnastics. She was an athlete. So she had a nice body, young, hot woman. When she found him and fell in love with him, the parents didn't like it. But then when he became Hitler and he was like in the power, they was like, so she might have picked her a good one. Especially now that he killing folks, we don't know if we up on the chopping blocks next. At least we got a good leg into good leg up. Like they might not do nothing to us. Because what Hitler didn't know is that she had Jewish ancestry up in them genes. Shout out to Sydney Sweeney with the good genes. Jew genes. Despite being close to one of history's most infamous men, she was deliberately erased from Nazi propaganda. She lived a life in extreme isolation. Like when he was on his vacation, he would come see her and come to the location in Munich where he would have meetings with his other leaders. They would come and she would be like the host. Like, this is his wife when they're at their vacation spot. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Where he met her at. And he would take care of, of course, taking care of her, making her feel like a queen, but never marrying her. On his rise, during his rise, he kept her a secret. During his fall, though, once he was about to be like, oh, they about to get me together. I'm about to lose this war. Then he marries her.
Oh, so they weren't even married before.
They weren't even married before. So imagine a 17-year-old girl wanting to be married, living with the shame of shacking up with this nigga. Mm-hmm. And then her becoming older, because she was 33 when they both died. He finally, when he's about to go down, meaning they about to kill his fucking ass.
Right.
He finally marries her behind closed doors and in a bunker before he gets caught by the people that's trying to catch him. Her life is consumed by being devoted to this man. And he now sees her as a respected accessory, as a wife. So I'm gonna marry you, and then end up
24 hours before he dies.
Then convinces her to kill herself with him.
Damn.
So the erasure. And most people didn't even talk about her. The erasure of women in history, the dangers of romanticizing. This is an example of the dangers of romanticizing submission, and how extreme loyalty to toxic men can lead to self-destruction. Like this is a perfect example how you held on as the side chick or the side piece, never getting what you actually deserved and wanted as a woman and as a wife, but hold it on, and then you end up dying because he doesn't give a fuck about you. Mm-hmm. So that is Eva Braun.
I know this is kind of what you're talking about, is people's proximity to the evil that is done. Was she in any way a Nazi other than being his part of his inner circle? Like, was she political in any way?
No, she
Outwardly?
stayed. She stayed well, agreeing with them because
Because you're still there.
you're still there.
Yeah.
You are still, and you there for a long period of time. It's not like, ooh, I just found out about you. No, this was, there was a line drawn in the sand between them and the Jews. And so the wives of these men in leadership were aligning with themselves with them. And so even though she wasn't the wife, she was the girlfriend, and she was hosting parties and events to, like, when he would be negotiating with people and making plans, she would be the hostess of the party, of the gathering, cooking and making sure that it's nice and making sure all these things is happening. So while we don't, she wasn't documented enough to for us to know her specific thoughts about the politics. It doesn't matter because you still align yourself with him by helping him.
Right. And almost worse, you're living in the shadow of this like immense tragedy and death, and you're just living life like it gives very like people in Israel who are like at a daytime rooftop party like DJ. It's like, yeah, oh god, it's just so creepy. Like you're just living a normal life while all these horrible atrocities are happening around you.
In like a resort situation,
Right.
isolated in a way, while people are being gassed, while people are starving,
100%.
while people are being wore out by your man.
Damn.
And that's a perfect example. Like people on fucking rooftop parties in Israel, while Palestinians are fucking starving and babies are literally being, you see their bodies and their bones in their rib cages because they can't get food, and they're stopping them from getting food and getting aid. And you just partying with like a fucking rave. Doom, 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 doom. Crazy. Get out of here.
God, it's so fucked up. Yeah. Ugh. Well, I don't feel the first girl. No, I don't like saying first girl. With the first woman that you talked about, with Madge, I felt. I don't want to say I felt bad for her, but she certainly had a very tragic end too, and that was not necessarily by her own doing.
No.
Eva Braun, it's like I don't know that I feel so bad for you, Miss Girl.
Yeah, I don't know if I feel bad for her either. I do feel a little bad for Madge, but yo, you knew you in the midst of these fucking snakes, and so if you think that if you think that their power just stays with being a racist and not being a misogynist or a sexist that devalue you too, you silly.
Mm-hmm.
And so I get it. Not saying that she deserved to be raped and assaulted and tortured,
Of course, yeah.
but being in cahoots with these type of men, you can be collateral damage. And just like Eva, where she was getting the luxury through her life of living this kind of isolated, taking care of doll baby life, she at the end of the day, they don't care about you. And so instead of him letting you live on, he wants you to die with him, even though the whole time he was not willing to marry you, literally saying, no, it's not the time. No, I'm married to it's just like a side chick. What Whitney Houston song, saving all my love for you, a few stolen moments is all that we share. That whole song is about her taking the scrap from this man, and he got a whole family on the side.
You
And
know, I'm so glad we had this time together so I could connect that Whitney Houston song to Hitler. I've never thought about that.
exactly. So he, except Hitler, his wife was his politics and his Nazi regime and all this bullshit. Germany at the time, and so you all of a sudden you've been waiting for all this time, wasting all of your youth to be the side chick to this man, and then boom, he finally
Literally
marries
did.
you. Literally, finally marries you, and then convinces you to kill yourself because he didn't give a fuck about you. And the narcissist like him would want you to prove that you love me so much that you would die.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I wanted to talk about Ava.
So we've had one that we felt a little sympathetic towards, one that we feel no sympathy towards.
Yeah.
Who's next? What's next in the lineup?
Okay, what's next in the lineup is Lurleen Wallace, your home state. Now we go to Alabama.
I already know I don't feel sympathy for her, but let's go. Sweet home Alabama, baby. Let's go.
Sweet home Alabama. The governor who wasn't meant to lead. So, Lurleen Wallace, if you don't know her, she is the wife of the segregationist Alabama governor, George Wallace. Now, remind y'all who George Wallace is. George Wallace didn't want any kind of desegregation. He's the one who sent Bull Connor to beat the people on Sedmond Bridge in Selma. He's the one who wouldn't let the black kids go to the schools.
His biggest quote was segregation now, segregation tomorrow, segregation forever. So that if you don't know him, that's his general vibe.
Right. He's the governor at this time that said it's not happening in my state. So because he was so popular during this racist time in the South in the 1950s and 60s, they can only have 2 terms. So he was so popular that he won his first term and then he won his second. But they wanted him to run a third time, but they couldn't because we have term limits when it comes to our state. So their workaround was, let my wife run.
Right. Yep.
So Lurleen Wallace ran for governor and became Alabama's first female governor when George couldn't run due to term limits.
That's so crazy. So crazy.
So scandalous and just scandalous. Crazy. More evidence that Republicans don't care about fairness. Though she held the title, her political career was heavily controlled by her husband, of course, who she married when she was 16 and he was 24. Before he became a politician, she was the breadwinner. He was the brokey.
Not the brokey.
So I want you to clock that. I want you to clock that. So even though he married her at 16, she got educated and started making the money.
Damn.
Then he became a politician and started, outpowering her. But initially, she was the breadwinner.
Okay.
All right. So we see how it goes. They have children, blah, 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 blah. So eventually, when she becomes the governor, she develops cancer. She goes to the doctor. Now listen to this, child. She goes to the doctor. The doctor finds cancer. Stage 3 or 4. Enough to where they might be able to do something about it. At this time, because of coverture laws, because of how the medical field worked, the doctor told the husband instead of telling her.
Oh my God.
So George Wallace tells the doctor, well, sir, don't tell my wife because we're trying to win this campaign and we don't have time for no surgeries or nothing like that. Just don't tell my wife. We'll handle it after we win this campaign. So she goes on and wins the campaign. And by the time she gets done with the campaign and win, and it's time for her to run, it's time for her to do her thing, within months, her body starts to have problems. And it just escalates. And he's maneuvering all this shit behind the scenes. By the time she figures it out, it's too late.
Too late.
Because he has not told her that she has cancer. So not told her that she only has a little bit time with her kids. So she literally be having her kids away from her during this whole campaign because she's trying to win and don't know that her time is running out. She literally focusing on this campaign and not even taking time with her kids.
That is so crazy.
So she ended up dying in office at 41.
Oh my God.
Overshadowed by her husband's ambitions. And to add insult to injury, because she had got so sick and so small, because she started to look like, oh, bitch, you something's going on.
Right.
She got so sick and so small that she requested that she not have an open casket. Her husband totally ignored that request and gave her an open casket at the Capitol.
Like at the Capitol. Oh my God.
Not giving a fuck about what she thought. Literally, after she dies, he gives her kids to somebody else. I can't remember if it's their grandparents or somebody else. They take care of him. He gets remarried and abandons their children.
Oh my God.
Crazy. Insane. So
he sounds like a psychopath.
It's fucking insane. So in this particular story, women are being used as political placeholders, not having any power, doing the biddings of their husband. Their labor and public service is undervalued, while her man particularly is in control and retains the ultimate control. And at the end of the day, she dies because she didn't get the help that she needed, because this is a medical failure, not only a moral failure of her husband, but this is because of sexism and how the culture was. I don't even need to tell you about your diagnosis, the actual patient, when I can just tell your husband. So this particular thing is also a failure of how the medical sexism was happening too. This is a failure of the system in that regards, because she should also have been told about her diagnosis. But because she was married, you felt like, oh, I need to just tell her husband. But this also would happen when it comes to like abortions. If she wanted to secretly get an abortion, they would tell husbands. All this because she's like, oh, what if I'm in an abusive situation and I want to get rid of him and now I'm pregnant? I want to get rid of this baby so I can leave. No, we want to tell your husband about you trying to get an abortion. And then now he got to convince you to stay and keep the baby and blah, 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 blah. So it's a whole horrible situation that women can be in. And this is how the medical field would be. And so this is a disgusting story, because he was a disgusting man. But also, you were helping him scam the people of Alabama.
Right.
Trying to circumvent him having another term, being a fucking racist, another term of being fucking this segregationist. You wanted to help him get another term. You was playing the role. You was playing your part in the whole scheme. And bam, look at what happened.
You heard him say segregation forever, and you still sat there, and then now look at you.
Yeah. Crazy.
He is crazy and disgusting. I mentioned earlier that his name is still very popular around Alabama. There's a community college in the town that I grew up in called George C. Wallace Community College, and that's where many people, if they don't go away to college, they'll go to that community college. And I actually, just as you were talking, just looked it up to see if they have changed the name yet in 2025. And not only have they not changed the name, it's still Wallace Community College, they've also opened up a secondary campus in, of all places, Selma, Alabama. So,
yeah,
not much has changed over there in the good old in Dixie.
Last but not least, I want to talk about we went to the 20s, got to the 30s and 40s. We just did the 50s and 60s. Now let's go into the 60s and the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So last but not least, Martha Mitchell, the woman who spoke too much. So you've heard about Watergate and Nixon, right?
Of course, yeah.
Of course. So this is the wife of Nixon's Attorney General, John Mitchell. She was an outspoken socialite turned political whistleblower.
Oh, okay.
So understand that this is a very talkative, vibrant woman. She is from Pine Bluff, Arkansas. She's heavy Southern accent. It's beautiful. Actually, I love Southern accent. So she is just a classic Southern accent. She's she's not your typical quiet, demure wife.
Yeah.
She talks and she's loud. She's social. She's like, oh yes, darling, come on in and da 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 da. So when she come into the dinners at the White House, she's gonna be the life of the party. She's gonna
I
be
was gonna say,
loud.
I can picture her. She seems like a very like outspoken figure. I
Yeah,
can
she
like
is
wow.
outspoken.
Yeah.
Get drunk, get a little tipsy.
Okay.
Get a little tipsy. And so she started to be known for these kind of, I don't want to say outbursts, but she'll put a little couple of them back and get a little spicy. She'll put a couple of them back, and so it would be almost kind of like the ladies is like, ooh, is she embarrassing us? Is she, you know what I'm saying? It's like, ooh,
Uh-huh.
she's one of those women. You're getting kind of loud, Martha. Calm down.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of her reputation, but they used that against her. So her role in power. Initially, she was a staunch supporter of Nixon because of her talking, because of her having the gift of gab. She would be somebody that the news and the press will put a mic in front of to talk about why she loves the president during his campaign, why she wanted. She was personable. She was the people liked her.
And I'm assuming there were not a lot of political wives at the time who were doing that same thing, like being in
Right.
public and giving interviews. Okay.
They were boring and bland. Laura Bush. She was more vibrant. She was, even if this is a fashion show.
Right.
When we think about her fashion, she had the beehive. She had the spiral curls in the back. She wore color. She was a vibrant woman in
Glamorous.
all ways, in her personality and in her fashion. And so, because she was on the winning side at the time, she was winning, and she had the gift of gab, drunk or not drunk. They would talk to her, and she had just so much to say, and she just was this Southern belle that people actually liked.
Right. Okay.
So when the shit hit the fan with Watergate, she was warning people. Like, she was like, I got some inside connections, and this shit ain't right. Because at the end of the day, she was like, yo, I want my government to be legit.
Right.
We don't want them to be doing shady stuff. And when she started getting whiff of the shady, she started talking. But her warnings about Watergate were dismissed as hysteria. Now, I use the word hysteria because if you know any history about the oppression of women in the medical field, hysteria was one of them things that they would use to imprison powerful, talkative women. Like, right, women who were talking too much, women who were snitching on men in power, women who was doing too much. They will call them hysteria, and they will use that as a way to get them locked into insane asylums. So in the same way that we see like this surge of, this after the 13th Amendment of black men being imprisoned after slavery, like their workaround to keep them enslaved with incarceration. A similar thing was happening to women in psychological institutions.
Right.
So, we think this woman is talking too much. This woman is doing too much. This woman is snitching on her husband. This woman is snitching on this political power dude. This one is this banker. She's out here being a lesbian. If y'all watch the movie called Carol with Cate Blanchett.
Oh,
her husband was threatening because she was a homosexual to take her kids away and put her in an insane asylum, to lock her up because you are homosexual. That is a mental problem. And so because of these mental issues, you are not apt to take care of your kids. You're not good. You're not good at all. I don't want my kids around this degenerate shit. So they would use mental shit like homosexuality and hysteria and all this kind of stuff to actually harm women and use their power to harm them. Well, if you don't do what I say, if you trying to tell me you threaten to divorce me, but no, if you divorce me, I'm gonna tell them about your homosexual activity or your hysteria or whatever. Hysteria, that particular word, has a long history of demonizing women as crazy and getting them locked up. So I wanted to give that kind of history because they were doing it to Martha Mitchell. They were saying the shit that she was saying about Watergate, which was true. The shit that she was saying about Watergate was true, but they were making it seem like, oh, it's hysterical. It's not true. She's just crazy. She's just a drunk.
And it was easy to write her off because she was a drinker and unfiltered.
But she was a drinker, and
yeah.
even when she had got sober, because she saw them playing that game, they was like, she's still a drunk. And then her lively personality made it, because everybody else around her is quiet and demure and blah blah blah. It made her look even more crazy.
Yeah.
So she was gaslit. She was silenced. She ultimately abandoned her husband, and that whom she once supported, because her husband was the attorney general. And so once she sees that, oh, you corrupt like these motherfuckers. Oh, you corrupt? You corrupt? I'm leaving your ass too. So she abandoned him. The media portrayed her as mentally unstable rather than a credible source. So after the Watergate burglary, Martha Mitchell was this happened. They proved that it's happened, so I don't want to say reportedly.
Yeah.
She was held against her will in a California hotel to prevent her from speaking to the press. This is her husband set her up for the FBI to do this to her. The Secret Service people to do this to her. According to the account she later gave to reporters, a security guard yanked the phone from the wall while she was on a call, and she was physically assaulted by several men who held her down while a doctor injected her with a tranquilizer.
Holy shit.
Because she was trying to tell the fucking tea about Watergate. The truth. Telling the truth. Because of her whistleblowing and people, cracking the door of investigation. After this restraint that happened in the hotel room, despite being dismissed as delusional at the time, many of her claims were later proven to be true. This led to investigation of Watergate, and boom, it blew it up, and bam, we learned that Nixon was a fucking crooked, corrupt motherfucker. Yeah. All the people in his cabinet, and he resigned, and bam. So imagine for multiple years you being harassed, drugged, wore out by the press and by the government, the state, and by people fucking for your husband, and everybody
nasty, broke, and they had tarnished her reputation.
So she is literally in the poorhouse, wore out, don't have any connection, mad as hell, now really in her alcoholism, because these motherfuckers gaslighting me, and now I'm feeling, am I really crazy?
Exactly. Oh God, that's horrible. Yes.
Am I really crazy? So this led to the coining of the Martha Mitchell effect, which describes a situation where someone is wrongly labeled as paranoid or delusional for speaking the truth. Martha's story is now seen as an example of both the suppression of a whistleblower and the mistreatment of women in politics. She died in 1976, largely ostracized, but her role in exposing Watergate has since been recognized as significant.
Wow, she sounds fabulous. I mean, I'm very intrigued and into her.
Yes. Despite her attempts to be silent, she continued to fight to have her story heard. She refused to be a passive political wife and instead acted independently, calling on journalists, like she would call the journalists, exposing the corruption. In doing that, she defied traditional gender expectations at the time, because you were supposed to stay in line with your husband, baby.
Right.
Which often positioned political wives as silent supporters. Once again, silent supporters rather than active participants in politics. Her legacy, Martha Mitchell's legacy, resonates today in conversations about women whistleblowers, women telling the truth, speaking truth to power, and media bias, how the media can be biased against the people who are telling the truth, and the dismissal of women's voices in male-dominated sphere. Her courage in speaking out, despite clearly the personal cost, made her an early example of, kind of like a feminist figure, whether she identified as one or not. I consider her a feminist figure, and so it's sad, super super sad. But
this is such a stupid question, and I need to go back to history class, but what were Nick's, like, if she were alive today and around today, would we like their policies? Do we like Nixon? Do we hate Nixon?
No.
Okay, so even though she was fabulous, her beliefs were trash.
Yes.
Okay. Except the one about overturning the crows, but
yes.
Okay, yeah.
So the trope of, to me, one of the things that I learned about her particular case, the trope of the hysterical woman, and how women who challenge patriarchal power structures are discredited. This is a perfect example of that. How even though you are standing on the right side of history, but you're standing in cahoots with them when they were corrupt, and you knew it. Now, I have to say that her integrity was still intact because she lost everything. She didn't technically stay by their side. So we want to do that.
Yeah.
She didn't we want to give her credit for that. One of the reasons why she fell from grace is because they were lying on her and it turned against her. So while in the beginning of his career, I'm pretty sure them politics wasn't right. Them politics, but you didn't think that it was going to happen to you. You didn't think that they had the gall to turn against you. And when you saw corruption happening and you preached about it, and you was like, I'm whistleblowing, I'm snitching on this shit. When you have the integrity to call it out, proud of you, but you shouldn't have been married to these clowns. You shouldn't have been with these clowns on the side of these clowns, because you should have known that these motherfuckers was going to turn on you, because power is what they desire. It's the power they want to keep. And so you are going to be collateral damage, and you being drugged, you being beat up, you being shamed, you being ostracized, that doesn't matter to them. Even if you're telling the truth, that doesn't matter. And so they threw her under the bus. And while I'm proud of her for not standing by their side, so I want to give her credit for that, I am also side-eyeing because you can't get me to believe that you didn't know some of these politics
until it was too late. Yeah, exactly.
Until it was too late.
Yeah.
And so that was that was my last one. So these four women, to me, in conclusion, each one of these women, identity was defined in relationship to a man. Okay, they are the wives and the husband, the partners of these people, or they are in cahoots in the political arena with them, trying to do something. And so each one of these women was defined by a man. When they not necessarily Madge, but because she was on the same side as them, trying to do this beautiful thing, this literacy thing, but being in cahoots with them and being in line with them, baby, you put yourself at risk. And so when they no longer served the interest of these men, they were discarded, ignored, or harmed, or erased.
Yeah.
So tell me, my last question to you: what do these stories tell us about women in conservative power structure. What do you think when it comes? We just was talking about the trad wives, and we talk about these conservative women that are voting quote unquote against their interests. What do you think? What does this say to you about the women in the conservative power structure?
My mind like immediately goes to like the Marjorie Taylor Greens and the Janine Pirros and those crazy women. They're ghoulish, and it, it's so hard to be in contemporary times because they themselves, the women, are clearly also so evil. Like, there's no, we're not looking back at it through history, being like, well, what did she really think, and was she just caught up in these circumstances? Like, these houses out here loudly and proudly being horrible and evil. Um, so that's one part that feels so different to me. It's also like when we talk about the trad wives of it all, I think about Handmaid's Tale and how that feels like something that, well, not so much anymore, but when it first started, it was like, this is so crazy that this is a thing that could happen. But every day it feels like we're getting closer and closer and closer to that. And I just wonder if, because we're speaking in the binary here, if the women in these situations, do they not see that history repeats itself and that you will get thrown under the bus or you'll get chewed up the minute that they're done with you? Because, like you said, at the end of the day, they want the power. They're hungry for the power. It's all about the power. It's not
Yeah.
about your relationship with them, your partnership. You're a means to an end, especially in cases with someone like JD. Well, I'm white, so this is kind of muddy territory for me. But like JD Vance with his wife, who is brown. Like, how much love is there? How much of this is a tokenism thing? And what are you doing to yourself and your identity by staying with this man? Yeah, it's weird. I guess my final thought is that it's so strange that it feels like we're so heavily back in that time, but people, women, are so easily are so willing to jump back into those structures again. Do you know what I mean? Like, I would have hoped that we had learned something in the last 40 to 50 years. Um,
I think that
but
what you're pointing to is steel power, because what it is if I can't be number one, I still have power in being number two.
yeah,
If I can't be, I'm much if I'm the brown wife of JD Vance, that is much better than being the brown wife of another brown man who is under
who's getting
don't
deported?
got who getting deported, who is
Right.
fucking under scrutiny, who is don't have as much access or whatever, however that works. And so I much rather be in a position of security with this man and with our children, who is a white man, but if I could just play my role as his second in command, taking care of the family, I don't want to do anything else, and I still have my security of me and my children. That's a more powerful position than some liberal under
Oh
the
yeah.
scrutiny of this power.
Hmm.
So it's still power. It's still, I want to have this power. I want to have this security. So last, I challenge y'all to examine how history portrays political wives and to acknowledge the hidden cost of disloyalty.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't believe we didn't talk about Melania at all. But probably because I think she is so. It's just so obvious what's going on with her. Like, to me, there's no nuance there of like. I think people sometimes try to be like, well, she doesn't say anything, so I don't think she supports what he says, and I think she's a little bit quieter and not as crazy. But I actually think Melania is not. That's not the case with her. I think she is on equal footing with Trump. Um, I do think obviously she is doing certain things to keep herself safe, kind of like we were just talking about with Usha Vance. But
I personally
yeah,
think Melania is a sex worker who found
Right. Yeah.
found a sugar daddy with money. Imagine if you are a sex working girl and you find Trump, a white man with access to money and access to a lifestyle. You had no idea that he would become president. Like you didn't think that there was, yeah, he was on The Apprentice. He was, you can say he was going to be a TV personality, but president, nobody believed that. At the time that she was meeting him, nobody believed that he was going to be president. So yeah, I'm gonna be, honey, I'm gonna be a sugar baby for Donald Trump. Old ass, cool. And I'm gonna stay sickening. I think it also another power play. I'm gonna have access
yeah.
to this lifestyle and this power of this lifestyle and be protected and da 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 da. I ain't just popping out babies. We gonna have this one little baron. We gonna have a one little baby, whatever. And I'm just doing. I'm living my life. Because I'm a trophy wife. I don't need to speak a lot of English. I need to have this pussy sit out when he want it. That's what it is. That's what the fuck a kept escort does, especially them one that's coming from other countries. This is what it is. I'm a mail order bride, child. And so I don't think that she even deeply thinks about the politics in that way. I didn't
I
expect
guess
my
that's what I
sugar
mean.
baby.
Is like I don't think she has the depth to be thinking on that level. I think she, like you said, was a sex worker who got with a man that she probably thought she wasn't going to be with that long, and now she's Mrs. Hitler. So.
Or she did think she was going to be with it long. I hit a lick. This is my new permanent sugar daddy. I caught a good one.
Yeah.
Now I'm taken care of. And so I have the power of this as a person who used to be a sex worker, that is like, honey, Pretty Woman. That's a story of Pretty Woman.
Oh yeah.
You find this one. Now I wouldn't want it to. Now there's a difference between Richard Gere and
right. Just a little bit.
And Donald Trump. But that's a romanticized version. I find this hot, yummy looking older man. Yes, but she too.
Unfortunately, they're usually Donald Trump.
Yes. So
unfortunately,
I found this lick. But we see the dark feminism girls, the Shira Sevens, there's other girls who are like, yo, we ain't looking for men because they pretty. You look for a man that's gonna give you everything you want and take care of you and your children, everything. It ain't about you. It ain't about them being attractive. If you luck up with an attractive one, cool. But the job is to get him in the bag. And
I love Shira's content. I think she is so. I mean, I just love her. But until this moment, I actually did not connect that is. It's still playing into that like submissive wife thing. I mean, like they're obviously she's promoting it from a different way. It's feeling like a place of power. It's feeling like I'm having a stroke. It's feeling like a place of power for her, but at the end of the day, you are still an accessory to this man, whether he does good or bad. Yeah.
Yes.
I didn't think about that.
That's what it is. That's why I call it dark feminism.
Yeah.
Because it's still playing the role. It's not trying to uproot the system. It's not trying to dismantle the system. It's, yo, we can't beat them. Let me show you how to beat them in a way where you are that girl. And yes, we gonna start doing it like Ivanka. What's her name? Not Ivanka. What's Ivanka's? What's her mama? What's the mama?
Ivana.
We gonna be like Ivana, baby. You gonna take care of me, and then when I leave your motherfucking ass, I'm out, and I got all your money. So that's the dark. It's like I call it dark feminism, and so it's like, I'm trying to take my power within the system. I'm not trying to dismantle it. I'm trying to make the system work for me, and I'm not fully against that, but because as a person who was ex-sex worker, I understand that, and so I think, and I say that because I think Melania caught her a lick and didn't know the lick was going to turn into this.
Right.
And so she's like, shit, I'm trying to make it work.
Yeah. And I just don't think she has the depth to care much beyond that. Yeah.
No.
Well, that was all so interesting. Like I said, I had heard of obviously I've heard of Eva Braun, I've heard of Lurleen Wallace. But especially Martha Mitchell, like I can't stop thinking about her. I'm excited to look more into her life. It looks like Julia Roberts played her in a TV series called Gaslit. I will be watching that. So yeah, thank you as always for the history lesson. That was fun.
It's a TV series about Madge Oberholtzer too.
Oh,
So
is there?
yeah,
Okay, those are all going on my list.
yeah. It's old. It came out in the 80s.
I did want to remind people of our last little thing that we do here. It has a new name. It has a new version since you guys last saw us. But typically what we like to do at the end of an episode is look at some hot looks, some photo shoots, anything that's kind of caught our eye in the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, the last month, the last news cycle, if you will. So this is stuff that has kind of made us stop scrolling while we're on our phone, stuff that just made us gag that we're living for.
Diamond, I once again had so much fun this week. Well, I don't know if it was fun learning about the rape and the torture and all of that, but I had an enlightening time this week. Let's say
Enlightening. I think that's a good term. Enlightening.
We all learned a lot. We learned how the gold cross necklace is like a tiny little piece of 2,000-year-old history every time you wear it. And we learned how you can be a sex worker in Eastern Europe one day, and then the next day you're literally Mrs. Hitler. So lots of stuff going on in this episode.
Then dead.
Then dead. Bitch, there ain't nowhere up from here. So I hope y'all know that. Melania, if you're listening, you can't, there's no coming back. Okay. Other than the horrible politics and things we've been listening about this week, this past month, what are some good things in fashion and culture that have just been making you happy, making you smile? What's on your mood board this month?
What's on my mood board is in line with what we're talking about. Dolce & Gabbana's men's couture collection, showcased in Rome, featured a unique blend of Catholic religion iconography, high fashion design, and beautiful men. Usually, the girls' runway gets like, a lot of shine.
Oh, yeah.
Because usually the men's be boring as hell. But this year, I felt like the men's line of Dolce & Gabbana outshined the women's line. So make sure you check that out. The Dolce & Gabbana Alta Sartoria 2025 men's collection. It was fire. It was sickening. It was luxe. It was sickening. Also, Gilded Age. Gilded Age, the new series. Well, it just got renewed for a fourth season, so it's been around for a couple of years. But this new season finale, they really did their big one on the end and all the gowns at the end. It just was so good, so colorful, so pretty. And as much as I love the storylines that they're exploring when it comes to the people and the characters on the show, I just love how they're eating the fashion down.
Like I said, just finally started watching it after every single person in my life, including my dad, who is just like a normal straight man from Alabama, was like, you have to watch the show. It's so good. And I knew you loved it. So I knew I was going to like it. And I sat down and I was like, oh my God. I was just like immediately like glamored. And it's like all these like, I'm telling y'all about Gilded Age like you don't know what it is. But it's like this, I feel like it was created in a lab for gay men and women of faggot experience, because it's just a bunch of like theater icons gossiping on screen in like the most amazing period piece clothing you've ever seen. Like it's so good. Carrie Coon as Bertha Wallace? Russell. Okay, I was like, I know it's not Wallace. Carrie Coon as Bertha Russell. Every time she steps on the screen, like I said, I'm only in season 1, so every time she steps on the screen, my husband and I are just like mouth open, gagging. Every time I'm like, I love her outfit. I don't even care what she's saying. It's just so cool. And another thing that I had not thought about. I've thought about the fashions at the time, but the interiors of the homes, like seeing that palace, that new house they had just built. Oh, and it just, man, I love it. We've got to do some in-depth looking at like that period of clothing in New York and like society. Like
For
I'm
sure.
so obsessed with it. Yes, we have to.
And I think that show goes along with what we're talking about now, because we're talking about the 1920s through the 1970s. The Gilded Age is the 1870s through early 1900s. And
Mm-hmm.
so this was a time where women really had to play their role or
Yeah.
not have any power at all. And so, are we judging these women with the same eyes that we would judge a Bertha, or that we would judge Miss Van Ryan, or or Miriam, or Peggy even? When we think about those characters, are we going to have, uh, in regards to their choices of how they choose men, of how they play the role in society when they don't have a power, when they doing all
Mm-hmm.
these things and slick shit that we like side eyeing behind the scenes? You haven't got to the other episodes, but the other seasons, but sometimes Bertha makes some choices that you like, bitch, what are you doing?
Oh,
Like,
I'm sure. Yeah.
but she's playing her cards. She's
Mm-hmm.
playing like, look, I'm trying to secure my family, and this is shit that we got to do as a woman. And so, but they're playing as second fiddle to some of these men in power. And so I feel like when I'm watching Bertha maneuver, it feels like I'm rooting for her.
Exactly. Yeah.
But when I'm watching somebody else maybe making these other kind of decisions, I may be judging them a little bit more. And so
Mm-hmm.
I think it's relevant. The Gilded Age is relevant to even this conversation, but the fashions is always relevant.
I'm sure y'all are all watching it already, but if you're not, please jump on the train late like I have. Late is better than never. Um, so yeah, Gilded Age has also been on my mood board. What else? I was seeing some. You and I talked about this a little bit earlier, but I love Mariah the Scientist. She's one of my favorite singers, artists, whatever you want to call her. I think she's so interesting because I love basically every one of her songs, and the lyrics and just all of it. I'm like, yes, girl. And then I see her live her life, and I'm like, oh, you're a little bit of a clown, or you're a little bit on the airhead side. And in particularly her fashion, like she has some of the best. She has access to some really good archives, and she wears some really shoes in particular, and just like outfits that are really random pulls from the runway archives, but she just looks great in them. And then she'll wear it to like go on Breakfast Club and talk about Young Thug talk and his children. I don't know. It's just like she's so funny in the way that she moves through the world. But I love her songs and I love her clothes. So I think I mentioned this earlier. I'm feeling a little. I'm not getting enough outside inspiration right now. So Diamond, you send me some stuff. Listeners, drop some stuff in my DMs. What did Andre Leon Talley say? Um, I'm starving for beauty, or it's not. I'm starving for beauty is how I feel. Gilded Age is the only thing getting me through it. And your Instagram, I always pop through your Instagram and see what you're posting to see the fits. That always brightens my day.
Period. I live. I've been trying to be dedicated to every Friday. I post things that brought me joy on my Instagram. So sometimes it'll be my outfits, sometimes it'll be posts, sometimes it'll be whatever. I've been just to have something to post. I've been doing that lately just to have something, and it's been bringing me joy at the end of the week.
I was gonna wear this big fuzzy hat today because I know you love a statement hat.
Period.
And I love it and it looks so cute, but I was like, well, I have to wear the headphones. So next time I'm gonna try to set it up where I can do no headphones and wear my big fun hat for you.
Oh, I hope. Yeah, let's do it. Because I'll have a hat that hopefully I'll get by the time we record it.
Ooh, okay.
It is a royal blue off
Ooh.
asymmetrical top hat because
Oh
of
my
Gilded
god.
Age.
Yes, I love
the
that.
It's curled up, but the top, instead of it being flat, it's asymmetrical, and it's royal blue. It's thick.
Where are you finding these like online, or are you going to like custom shops?
Etsy. Sometimes it's just I randomly run again Etsy. Sometimes because you can find some fire ass like
Oh yeah.
seamstresses and millineries on Etsy. Fire earrings. It's unique. Etsy is one of my favorite places.
Yeah.
But that I just can't wait to rock it. It's so
Oh, I'm so excited to see it. Okay. Well, at least we have something to look forward to next month.
yes. Well,
I,
let us, what you about to say?
no, nothing. Go ahead.
Well, let us know what y'all think about this episode, and we love doing these deep dive for y'all. And y'all, Chance, how did you feel about chasing these threads?
I had a blast. I mean, I'm a little worn out. We chased a lot this week, all over the map of American history. Well, like I said, I'm enlightened, so it was worth it. You know how they say after you work out, your endorphins are like rising. That's me right now.
Period.
Well, I hope you enjoy the T.S. Madison show. That sounds so fun. And then, yeah, we can't wait to see y'all next time. We've already got some stuff planned for you. As always, there will be a, what did I call it? A visual companion coming on Instagram when we drop the episode. And then throughout the weeks, we'll be posting a couple more things. Please follow us on Instagram at Chasing Threads Pod, I believe. We also have a TikTok that I'm going to start posting more regularly on, so look out for that. You can find all the link there on our Instagram. And yeah, we'll see y'all next time.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.